Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We are picking up our conversation where we left off with Lynda McNutt Foster. Lynda, thank you so much for joining us again.
Thanks for having me.
We were talking last week about your book, Time Mastery, 7 Simple Steps, and you really talked about what got you to the point of writing that book, and you really dove in on step 1, but we're hoping, since there are 7, that you could maybe give us an idea about each step, why they're important, and give us a little bit of insight on each one of them, if you could.
Yeah, so we went over that richest outcomes. What does right look like? What do you want to have, be doing differently? How do you think that's going to make you feel 5 years from now, next year, or even at the end of this month? Always start there. Step 2 is very personal for me because I owned an advertising agency at one point, and my daughter was 10 years old, and she wasn't doing that well in school. And I started tracking how that was going. And so I would have to leave out of town Tuesday through Thursday to run that division in North Carolina and then come back here the other days. And so there was a disruption in flow, and I study behavioral styles. So what I started realizing was that disruption was pretty major to her. So I sat down with her and said, look, what is it that I do for you that makes the biggest difference in your life? And I said, please don't be cooking is what I'm thinking. Please don't let it be PTA or whatever, because I just wasn't that kind of mom. And she goes, I just love when you take me to school. I don't like driving the bus, and it gives me a guaranteed time to talk to you in the morning. And sometimes I don't have anything to say all week long, but I know that if I have something to say to you, well, that seems simple, doesn't it? Like, all she said to me was, I like you to drive me to school. Well, my desired outcome was to raise an independent child, a child that could think for herself, that felt emotionally safe, that felt pioneering, like she had courage. And so I said, I got to give up my firm in North Carolina. In fact, I ended up giving my agency half of it to one of my employees and the other half to Alan to run, and went to work for WSET so that I could take her to school every morning. And that's what having an outcome is, not a goal. And so you have to set some non-negotiables, and those non-negotiables may be painful. And you can't set a plethora, like 15 non-negotiables. Oh, well, I need to do this, 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 this. No, non-negotiables mean they're not negotiable. So you don't make a non-negotiable, I'm going to work out every day. That's not true. If you get sick or something happens to your child, you're not going to work out that day. You need to say, I want good health. And what does health look like as an outcome? And then go, that's non-negotiable, is that I plan something in my week for my self-care and my relationship health and things like that. So the third step is time metabolism. So it's kind of counterintuitive, but the way it works is that what brings you energy are things that you should do when you don't have any. And the things that sap you of energy, you need to do when you have a lot of it. Right. So in the book, and you'll get a copy of it, you'll be able to see the form, and it sort of helps you understand when you have a lot of energy during the day and when you don't. And you plan the opposite of what you think. So if you're a people person and you wake up and want to see people, that's when you actually do your paperwork. And if you are a paperwork person, you do that after you've met your people obligations.
Because you're more energetic doing what you like.
Yeah, because for me, people make me feel energy. They give me energy. Paperwork drags it out of me. So I need a lot more energy to be able to do it. I did a lot of research. Willpower is like a muscle. It wears out. So how do you build willpower, and how do you structure your life so you don't have to use it that much?
Gotcha.
The fourth is map and measure your time. And what I'll say is every leader gives me pushback on that. In fact, their teams give them pushback on this. And what this means is writing down everything you do all day long, every single day, and then measuring at the end of the week what you should start, stop, and continue doing. Getting with your boss or your family and going, here's how I spent all my time. did this get to the outcome that I wanted to in my relationship with you and my work for you? People feel like it's micromanaging, but they should be doing it for themselves. It's not for their boss. Imagine if you mapped and measured all your time. It's no longer, I need more help. It's, here's how I spend my time, Joe, Sarah, Becky, and can you tell me if all of these things are what's leading us to what we want to get to? Because maybe I can prune some stuff and I don't need any more help, or I'm spending too much time on something. So it requires a conversation. The fifth step about delegate is you got to prune, right? So it's important in the quadrant system that we have to sort of understand what is urgent and important, and you can't plan during that time. It's urgent and important. When the pandemic hits, you don't have a chance to sit there and go into some elaborate plan at that point. That's something you do in quadrant 2, which is it's not urgent right now, but it's highly important, right? Quadrant 3 is that it's not that important to you. It's probably important to somebody else, but it's urgent to them. And so what they do is that's where drama sits. And quadrant 4 is it's not urgent and it's not important. So get rid of it. Get done with it. Is sending 2 hours a day on Facebook really leading you to your desired outcomes? Or would 15 minutes a day on Facebook, set a timer and do that? You know, you are not Wonder Woman, Superman. Operate in sprints. You know, have a project, have a deadline, get to it, celebrate, take a breath, right? And
Right.
finally, if you don't do that quadrant 2 stuff and schedule it, it'll never happen. It just won't happen if you don't schedule in what's not urgent but highly important. Quadrant 1 will always win out.
And that's from, you said Dwight Eisenhower, is that correct?
Yeah, the quadrant stuff is from Dwight Eisenhower, so you can look that up on Google. But it's really a you know, Stephen Covey kind of made it famous to leaders, but it was Dwight Eisenhower's quadrant system.
And you had mentioned, I think, operating in sprints a bit. And then that final one, I think step 7 is really important. And people kind of wash right over that one.
Yeah, you have to schedule it. So, you know, if you're in accounting and you know you're going to have a sprint for a month and a half or 2 months, have you scheduled breaks in between there? Have you scheduled at least 10 minutes during the day to get up, walk around, see the sky? So it's like retirement. I mean, you may not get there. Like, make sure you've baked in the rest and rejuvenation for yourself, for your family, for those important connections that you need to make.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you, Lynda. And actually, a huge thank you. I have to tell everybody this. Lynda is going to give us a free copy of her book. So we will all be owners of Time Mastery 7 Simple Steps. And we will find out for ourselves just how simple we think they really are. Yeah, I appreciate it. And just so everyone knows, we'll put that on North Star so you can look into it and really delve into it. But thank you for taking the time right now to kind of give us some quick insight on all of it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
You too.